Hi, welcome. Now, today's lesson is about bank charges. And I know what you're thinking of. Bank charges, I've never, what's that? I've never, it is there. It is very much part of your curriculum. It can be tested at any time and anyhow they would like to test it to you. As much as it's not that big of a concept, it is by no means to be undermined. So let's get to it. What are bank charges? Well, bank charges are fees. That's the most important thing. Bank charges are fees that a financial institution, we're going to make this easy, we can say that banks charge customers for using their services. Services, we can be talking about the transactions that you do, whether it's depositing money, it's withdrawing money, it's sending money, anything that you do that has to do with your bank. If you are getting charged for it, we call those charges bank charges. So those are fees that your bank or a bank charges their customers for using the bank's services. Now, before we get to questions, because the better way in which I can make sure that you understand the concept of bank charges is through explanation using past question papers. I have 4 extracts from past question papers, but I want to explain to you a concept called part thereof. Say, what? Sounds like foreign doctrine. What's part thereof? I'm glad you asked. By the way, I'm here to answer your questions. Now, let me explain to you what part thereof is. Part thereof. Let me make you a simple example. Let's say you are lazy, so you have decided to hire someone. So you hire someone to do your laundry, and you're telling that particular individual that if you come here and you do my laundry and you work, let's say that for 3 hours, let's say that for each and every hour that you are going to work, I am going to pay you 100 Rand. So I'm going to pay you 100 Rand for all the hours that you have worked. If the person pops up to work, do your laundry, and they finish after 3 hours, how much are you supposed to pay them? Well, you're supposed to pay them 100 Rand multiplied by 3. Why? Because that's the rate. For every hour, I get 100 Rand. If I work 3 hours, I have to get 300 Rands, which gives me 300. Oh, that's simple. That's straightforward, right? But what if the rate was like this? I'm going to pay you 100 Rand for every hour that you are going to be doing my laundry or part thereof. There comes the foreign doctrine. The person is like, are you trying to scam me or something? Why are you using these words that I do not understand? Well, don't worry. The word will be understood soon enough. When the person is saying that I'm going to pay you 100 Rand for every hour or part thereof, they are simply saying that if you pop up at work and apparently you work for 3 hours and 30 minutes, they are going to pay you, obviously, for the 3 hours. You would make the calculations, it would be 300 Rands. But the problem would be, we never agreed about minutes. So what about this 30 minutes? Does this mean it goes for free? I was just doing overtime. I'm not getting paid for it. No. If it said that 100 Rand per hour or part thereof, it means that anything that is part of an hour and 30 minutes is part of an hour, because an hour has 60 minutes. I hope you knew that. If you didn't, by now you know that an hour is equals to 60 minutes. Anything that is part of an hour is going to be treated as an hour. So when you pop up to work, do the laundry for 3 hours, 30 minutes, your remuneration is not going to be for 3 hours only. It is going to be for 4 hours. Why? Because you are paid for these 3 hours, and this 30 minutes is also treated as a whole hour. Therefore, you are supposed to be paid 400 Rands. So what is part thereof? Part thereof is whereby for every part of that particular rate that they are telling you about, for every part, you see, 30 minutes, for every part of an hour. And when I say part of an hour, I mean part of an hour. Part of an hour can be 1 minute, can be 2 minutes, can be 59 minutes. It is going to be treated as the whole hour. If you pop up at work and you actually do work for 2 hours and 1 minute. Guess what? You're not going to be paid 200. No, you're going to be paid 300. Why? Because it's 200 for these 2 hours, and this because it's part thereof. It is part of an hour. It is treated as a whole hour. So it means that you, my dear daughter or son, you have worked for 3 hours. Therefore, you get paid according to 3 hours, and that becomes 300 rands. I hope that makes sense, because where we are going now, you're going to see this foreign doctrine of part thereof. Anyways, let's start answering the question. So let me use a read. So we have always two wants to open a bank account and decides to research various banks. Table 1 below shows the banking fees for different services offered to young people by 4 of South Africa's largest banks. So we have Bank A, Bank B, Bank C, Bank D. They didn't say anything about ABSA, FNB, so please get that out of your brain. We have Bank A, B, C, and D. Thank you for understanding. Now, 1.1.1. So there's no way you can summarize this. It's already summarized for you. But one thing I would like you to do when you're answering bank charges questions, do your highlight. Very much highlight your work. Highlight where you are so that you do not make mistake. As you can see, it's a table that has a lot of values. If you make a mistake, you are thinking that you are calculating for withdrawal at an ATM and you end up calculating for withdrawal at a bank counter, your answer becomes wrong. So make sure you are marking where you are at that particular point. So write down the cheapest bank based on monthly fees. When you mark, this is what I mean. We are here. We are dealing with monthly fees. So this is our line. This is our whole line that we have to be looking at. Which one is the cheapest in terms of what? In terms of monthly fees. So when you're looking at this, you can tell 10 rand for Bank A, 26 rand for Bank B, 999 for Bank C, but it's free for Bank D. So we can answer our question and say that for 1.1.1, Bank D is the cheapest in terms of monthly fees. 1.1.2, which withdrawal method is the most expensive one for a client withdrawing 1,200 from Bank A? So Bank A has 3 withdrawal methods. You can withdraw at an ATM, you can withdraw at the bank counter, you can also withdraw at a payment point. But because we are only focusing on Bank A, this is where we are for these 3. So now they are saying which withdrawal method is the most expensive one for a client withdrawing 1,200. So let's start here. When you withdraw at an ATM, you are supposed to pay 190 per 100 rand. So that means for each and every 100 rand that you are doing in withdrawal for, you are supposed to pay 100 rand. So let's do our calculations here. Let's say 1.1.2. So how many 100 rands do we have in 1,200? To do that, we can say 1,200 divided by 100. So we are doing it at ATM first. So let's do this to our calculator. Let's fix it. Now we can say, what is 1,200 when you divide it by 100? How many hundreds do we have? It says that we have 1,200 rands. So if we are doing withdrawals at an ATM, we are supposed to pay 1.90 rand multiplied by 12. So what is 1.90 rand? Okay, 12 is already here. We can simply say multiply by 1.90 rand. Let's see. We are supposed to pay 22 rand 80 cents. Okay, this is for withdrawal at an ATM. Secondly, withdraw at a bank counter. So at a bank counter, you just pay like 160. So already this is cheaper than the first one. So there is no need for us to write it. Withdrawal at a payment point. For the first 3,000, it's free. Okay, I guess this one also is cheaper because that means if we are withdrawing 1,200, we are just going to get it for free since it's below 3,000. So we can answer our question by saying that if we are withdrawing, the expensive method for withdrawing at Bank A, it is actually withdrawing at an ATM. So withdrawal at an ATM or ATM withdrawal is the one which is the expensive one. 1.1.3. Determine how much the banking fees will be if Oluweti chooses Bank C. We are here, Bank C, and withdraws 1,600 from the bank's ATM. They want to withdraw at a bank's ATM, and it's Bank C. This is where we are. So let's come here and say 1.1.3. We are withdrawing 1,600. Now, here it says that first 1,250, it's free. Don't charge you for withdrawing 1,250. But then, after you are supposed to pay us 185 cents per 100 rand or part thereof. Let's first start by subtracting what we are getting for free. So, if we are going to be withdrawing 1,600, they are not going to charge us for 1,250. Let's see then. If we are withdrawing 1,600, we are not going to be charged for 1,250. So that means that the only amount we are going to be charged for is 350. So let's get our calculations for 350. For 350, it says then, this is where we start. You are supposed to pay 185 cents per 100 rand. So per 100 rand means that you must multiply by 100. Remember, per is this, per 100 rand or part thereof. So the question is, so let's say 185 multiplied by how many 100 rands are in this 350? We only have 300 rands in this 350. But because we are also told about part thereof, what are we going to do to this 50 rand? We are going to treat it as a whole 100 rand. Remember what I explained? If it's part of an hour, whether it's 30 minutes, 1 minute, you do what? You treat it as a whole hour. Because it's part of 100 rand, it's part of this 100 rand, we are going to treat it as a whole 100 rand. Therefore, that means that in our calculations, we're not going to use 3. We are going to have 400 rands. Now, let's get our answer for this. If you say 1.85, multiply it by a 4, you actually get that she or he always too must pay 7 rand 40 cents. That's our answer for 1.1.3. What about 1.1.4? Choose the correct percentage below. So I suppose we have to go down. Yes, here are our percentages. The probability of choosing a bank. And again, if you still do not understand how to do probability, I made a video separately, exclusively for you that details everything that has to do with probability. Go and watch it and you will understand how to do probability. The probability of choosing a bank with counter withdrawals costs of less than. We are dealing with all banks, but we are dealing with counter withdrawals only. That is important. The probability of choosing a bank with counter withdrawals of costs less than 2 rand. So how many banks have costs of less than 2 rand? We are marking one here. This one is less than 2 rand. This one is less than 2 rand. Nope, it's not. Nope, it's not. So that means that we are going to have 2, which is the possible outcomes, over 4, which is the total outcomes, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 banks. They said, did they say it's a percentage? Yes, because the options that are given us are as a percentage. So all multiply by 100. So what happens when we say 2 divide by 4 and you try to multiply that by 100? We are actually getting that it's going to be 50%. So this means it's option B. Now we continue. So let's go to the next question. So here we have Katlaho is employed at a school by Presidential Youth Employment Initiative. He earns a salary of 4,000 per month. So a month he earns 4,000. He presently has a net bank pay as you use account, but is thinking of changing to Capitec Global One account. So Katlaho uses Nedbank, but Katlego would like to change to a Capitec. Like I told you, there is nothing that you can summarize here, but you have to do your highlighting as you go. 4.1.1, give one reason why banks charge more for branch deposits than ATM deposit. It's simply because, so if you are depositing money at a branch, someone has to take your money and they have to do the deposit for you. So it's more like someone is doing your job. But then if you are depositing at that ATM, it's automatically you get there, you do the deposit yourself. So the reason why they would charge you more, it's so that they can pay their branch employees. And don't get me wrong, by saying this, I'm not saying that if you were not doing branch deposit, they wouldn't have money to pay their employees. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying they're charging you more because their employees are doing extra work for you to deposit there. Therefore, they should get extra money from you so that they can pay them. So that's how it works. 4.1.2, determine the difference in cost. So difference, we have to subtract. Always when you see difference, subtract. So it's in cost of external debit. Okay, where's external debit? Let's look for it. External debit, external debit, external. Oh, here we have debit order that is external. Using a net bank pays you an account and Capitec Global One. So we are doing a difference between when you are using a net bank and also when you are using a Capitec. So if you are using a net bank, they're charging you 5 rands. 5 rands. If you are using a Capitec, they are charging you 150 cents. So what do you get? What's the difference? 5 minus 1 rand. 50 cents. You actually have to pay them. Oh, the difference is 3 rand, 50 cents. And then Katlego had the following monthly transaction on his bank account. So these are the transactions that Katlego has been doing. And like now they're going to charge him for this. He has to pay for all these transactions. These are the services that the bank has rendered unto him. Therefore, he has to pay for them. The Capitec, so it says here, the Capitec banking fees for the listed transactions. So they've done calculations for us and they're saying that for all these transactions, Capitec is going to charge him 45 rands. Okay, Katlego states that he would have saved 20 rands 50 cents on bank fees if he banked with Capitec rather than Nedbank. So because he's currently banking with Nedbank, let's find out how much Nedbank are charging him and let's make our difference to see if indeed he was going to save 20 rand 50 cents and then prove whether the statement is correct or incorrect. So now, let's say here we are dealing with 4.1.3. 2 external debit orders. Let's look for this under. Remember, we are focusing on Nedbank. Capitec, they've done the calculations for us and they're saying it's 45. So under Nedbank, let's look for 2 external debit orders. Here are our debit orders and they're external. It's 5 rand each. So if you are doing 2, you are going to have 5 multiplied by 2. Let's see what we get for that. 5 multiplied by 2. We actually get 10 rands. We are done with this one. Second one cash withdrawal of 1,500 at own bank ATM. Cash withdrawal at own bank ATM is here. But how are they charging him? 9 rand per 1,000 or part thereof. By now you understand what we are going to do here. We are going to say 9 rand and we are going to multiply it by how many 1,000s or by how many thousands do we have in 1,500? We have 1. What do we do with this 500? We are going to treat it as a whole 1,000. Why? Because they said or part thereof. So instead of saying 9 multiplied by 1, no, we are going to say 9 multiplied by 2 because we are treating the first 1,000 is complete. If it was only 1,000, we're going to say 9 multiplied by 1. But because it's 1,500, we treat this 500 that is part of 1,000 as 1,000. Hence, we come to our calculator and say 9 rand multiplied by 2, charging 18 rand for this transaction. That transaction, 1 cash withdrawal of 450 at another bank ATM. So withdraw at other bank ATM. So we are here. So here it says 11 rand plus. So let's write it 11 rand plus 2 rand 30 cents per 100 rand. This is where we start multiplying. per 100 rand or part thereof. How many 100 rands do we have in 400? We have 4. But because there's another 50 rand, how do we treat it? By now you understand we're going to treat it as a whole 100 rand. So basically we are going to have 500 rands. Why are we having 500 rands? Because this 50 rand can be treated as a complete 100 rand. And if you add the complete 100 rand with 400 rands, you end up with 500 rands. So it is 11 plus 230, 2.30 multiplied by 5. Let's see. Well, this transaction has to pay 22 rand 50 cents. Last transaction, so we're done with this one. 1 cent cash transaction of 1,500 to his mother. Cash send. Okay, send cash here. I can see send cash, but this is from 1 rand to 1,000. That's not what he did. He sent 1,500. So it's the second one, send cash from 1,001 to 5,000. So here they just charge you a constant amount of 15 rands for whatever he did here. He's just going to pay 15 rand. So now let's add all of this. So let's say 10 plus 18 plus 22, 50 plus 15. Let's see what we are going to get as the charges that Nedbank are going to charge this human being. Plus 18 plus 22, 50 plus 15. Okay, let's see. Okay, they are apparently going to charge him 65 rands 50 cents. Now let's compare. Capitec, they're charging him 45 rands. Nedbank, they're charging him 65 rands 50. Let's do the difference. So we can simply write here difference. We are going to say 65.50 subtracting a 45. What do we get? So it's already here. Let's just subtract a 45. Okay. 20 rands 50 cents. So he's correct. If he was using Capitec, he would have saved 20 rand 50 cents. So the statement that Katleho has claimed is very much valid or is correct. And there is our 7 marks. So I hope by now you are getting to grips with this. Now we also have Booty has an Elite account. Okay, what account is this? Elite account with one of banks in South Africa. Okay, anyways, we are not here to be judging how accounts are named. So as you can see here, this is how they charge you. They charge you for notes and coin deposits. So apparently in this particular Elite account, you can also deposit coins. Don't ask me how. It is done here. Go look for Elite account if you want to know how. Notes and coins. So for notes, it's 80 rand, which means it's constant. You are going to pay it. Before you can start deposit, they want the 80 rand plus 2.25 per 100 rand. Here it's 5 rand per 100 rand for coins, or part thereof of the amount deposited. So this 100 rand, part thereof is going to be treated as 100 rand. This 100 rand, part thereof is going to be treated as 100 rand. So now let's start here. It says determine the minimum amount. So 4.2.1, it says determine the minimum amount one will pay when making a deposit of notes and coins. So you are supposed to determine the minimum amount that a human being or an individual is going to make. I told you it's this one here. It's fixed. So this is the minimum amount that an individual has to pay for making any deposit. Doesn't matter how much that deposit is. Before you can make that deposit, you have to pay them 80 rands. But he says he will be charged 180. This is what he's claiming when making a deposit of notes to the value. So these are notes, and then coins to the value of 500. Show by means of calculation whether his statement is valid. So he's saying he's going to be charged 180 if he deposits 1,500 notes, 500 coins. Let's go to our statement. We are going to start with notes. We know that 80 rand must be paid 2.25 per 100 rand multiplied by how many 100 rands do we have in 1,500? I guess we can do it here. We can say 1,500 when we divide it by 100 rand. How many 100 rands do we have in 1,500? It says that we have 15. So we're going to multiply by 15. We're going to start with notes. So let's come here and say 80 plus 2.25 multiplied by a 15. Okay. For notes has to pay 113.75. Now let's go to coins. Coins, it's simple. It's just 5 rand per 100 rand or part thereof. So how many 100 rands do we have in 500? So again, 500, you divide it by 100. What do you get? You actually get that we have 5. Now, what's the answer for this? 5 multiplied by 5, you actually get that it's 25. Now, let's add these costs. Let's add these fees. So we have 113.75 plus 25. Let's see if his statement is correct. So 113 plus, okay, 113.75 plus 25. Okay, it says that it's going to be 138.75. That's the amount of money that this particular individual is supposed to be charged. 138.75. So the statement of going to be charged 180 is invalid. Do you know why the statement is invalid? Buti is not a mathematician. What are we? Thank you. We are mathematicians. That's why we were called to verify Buti's statement. Buti must start watching these YouTube videos. Why should Buti start watching these YouTube videos? So that he can also become a mathematician. Thank you for understanding that. Anyway, 4.2.3. Mr. Buti deposited 1,500. An amount from sale of goods that were sold at value-added tax or that were sold, and that particular amount had VAT. VAT inclusive means that the price has VAT. This VAT inclusive, it means that this 1,500 includes a 15% of VAT. Calculate the VAT amount. They didn't say calculate the VAT exclusive. They said calculate the VAT amount. If you watch my videos on value-added tax, I told you something simple. I don't want you to fill yourself up with a lot of formulas because you will start confusing them when you get to the exam. I gave you just 2 formulas. And if you haven't, go and watch that video. I said it's either you can use the fractional format of dealing with VAT or you can use the decimal format. Now, just briefly, I told you if you want to add VAT, you are going to say 115 over 100. This is what you're going to multiply by. If you want to take it out, you're going to multiply by 100 over 115. Decimal format, if you want to add VAT, you're going to multiply by 1,15. If you want to take it out, you're going to divide by 1,15. I said choose and know where you are standing. Don't interchange them. If you want to use the fractional format, use the fractional format. If you want to use the decimal format, use the decimal format. There are other ways in which you can calculate this. I just want you to choose from this. So this has VAT. If we want the VAT amount, we are first going to take out the VAT. We are going to have the amount which is VAT exclusive. So they gave us VAT inclusive. Let's make it VAT exclusive. How do we do that? 1,500. When you want to take out VAT, you're going to say 100 at the top and 115 at the bottom. Let's see what we get. So we are going to get 1,500 multiplied by 100 over 115. This is going to take out VAT. We are going to be left with an amount which is original 47826. This amount is VAT inclusive. So this amount is now VAT exclusive. What am I saying? Exclusive. When I told you in that video, if you have an amount that is VAT inclusive and an amount that is VAT exclusive, if you difference them, if you subtract them, you are going to be left with something called the VAT amount. So let's say 1,500 when you subtract 1,304, 34,7826. What do you get? So let's come here and say 1,500. When you subtract 1,304.347826, you are remaining with 1,000. Oh, this is not 1,000. 195. Let's round it to 2 decimal places. 0.65. Someone is saying, sir, I'm an accountant. I can do it better. I never said you were not an accountant. And thank you for telling me that. I will take it under consideration that you are into an accountant. I understand. And when I say understand, I mean I understand. Let me show you something. We could have simply done this. I know accountant students, really, this is something that maybe they have done already. The reason why I say, my mathematicians, do not fill your mind with a lot of formulas. It's because I don't want you to get to a point whereby you don't know where to use what. Where to use what. I gave you, you see, it's still the same answer. 195.65. The reason why I gave you these two formulas under value-added tax, it's because, remember, I always tell you this. I am going to go and do my research. I am going to go and put my brain to work so that yours does not have to be put to work. I'm not saying so that you can allow your brain to sleep. No. But I'm going to find the most simple and the most possible and the most easiest way to do things so that it becomes easy for you when you get into an exam session. And instead of having to use 15%, 100, 150, don't complicate things. 115 over 100, 100 over 115. You want to use decimals, multiply by 1.15 to add, divide by 1.15 to subtract. If they want VAT amount like they did here, I know this looks to you enticing, like it's an easy step. No. Take the VAT, take the amount that has VAT already, take out the VAT so that you can have VAT inclusive and VAT exclusive. Subtract the two amounts, you're going to have your VAT amount. Name at least one method Buddha can use to send money to a person who does not have a bank account. Well, I can think of e-wallet. I can also think of a cash send. You can think of a lot. I know you. You've been receiving money. I don't know why you are receiving money without a bank account or why you are sending people money who do not have bank accounts. But we are not here for your account not having transactions. Mrs. Mackenzie and her family went to a Starland to do some stargazing while they were in Sutherland. John, the owner, bought the property just outside Sutherland as an investment in 2015. He organizes the stargazing tours on his property each evening. Starland has FMB business account which charges the following service fee. So this is what you charge for using this particular account. Like I told you, you can't summarize this. It's already summarized for you. So 4.2.1. What is the monthly account fee on this account? Okay, marks for the taking. 4.2.2. When will the client have to pay 30 rands minimum fee? Okay, here you only have to pay 30 rands minimum fee if you are depositing anything that is less than 5,000. So when they deposit any amount that is less than 5,000. It says here minimum fee per deposit of less than 5,000. So any amount that you are depositing that is less than 5,000, you have to pay this 30 rand. Now let's go down. There's another question. The question says that calculate the total cost in bank fees to the business when John deposits 11,300. How much will they cost him or how much will they charge him? So this 30 rand was for less than 5,000, but now you can see this is 11,000. So it falls in this category, meaning that these are the cost structures. So 4.2.3, we are simply going to say 840. By now it's long that you've been pausing the video and you've been doing these things by yourself. And then we have to multiply. How many 100 rands are in 11,300? To do that, we are going to say 11,300 divide by 100 so we can find how many. Oh, we actually have 113 rands. 100 rands. Yes, let's go to our calculator and say 8 rand 40 cents. When you plus it by 1 rand, 49 cents, and then you multiply it by 113. What do you get? You actually get that he will be charged 176.77 cents. That, my beloved, is how bank charges are tackled. Harshly so. Anyways, thank you. Don't forget to share. of course, and subscribe. See you on the next one. Keep well.